Friday night tag teams and Monday night Rollins, and not much else despite 2 weekend shows coming up. I'll discuss that and more next. It's hard to make sense of what WWE's trying to do going into Saturday night's main event and Evolution, so I'm down on the floor and the ref is about to start the 10 count. Topic number 1, Drew McIntyre returns, and his return couldn't come soon enough after he missed 5 SmackDowns, Money in the Bank, and Night of Champions, so his last match was at Saturday night's main event, and his next match will also be at Saturday night's main event. And when he returned, business certainly picked up as I was getting tired of the good guy on good guy matches that we kept getting at Queen and King of the Ring. Well, he is going to inject that male alpha energy that he talked about, and I have to say, he certainly spoke some facts to both Orton and Rhodes, particularly Orton saying that he was the one that hesitated while Rhodes did not. So does this mean that McIntyre is going to play the role of heel turner now? Well, it certainly looks like it may have started, as these could be the plans for now and going forward. So having a match at Saturday night's main event is nice, but at SummerSlam it would be much nicer, so I do think we're going to need more than one match between him and Orton. And that really indeed might just make Randy hear those voices inside his head to move on to the bad guy side of the ledger. And then he'll probably move on over to Cody Rhodes and perhaps do the same thing? Maybe. It would make sense if McIntyre would get a chance at Rhodes, as he hasn't fought him since he beat him all the way back in February of 24, when he became just one of 4 men to beat Rhodes in one-on-one matches since Rhodes' return. And if Rhodes wins the title against John Cena at SummerSlam, McIntyre would certainly make a great first opponent for Cody, but if he loses to Cena, he would make a great first opponent for simply chiding him to try to get him to, turn things around a little bit, saying he can't get the job done the way he is. So I think we might just get a 3-match series in the same way, and I think that would be perfect for Rhodes and McIntyre. All right, up next, topic number 2, all Rollins? Yeah, it was Monday Night Rollins on Monday Night Raw, as him and his group had 3 matches and then 3 additional segments, and that included both the beginning of the show and the end of the show. And then when you add in the LA Knight segment where he was talking about Rollins, and also the Sami Zayn segment where he was talking about Braun Breaker, that gives us 8 total segments about this particular faction. And then everybody else on the show got 2 matches and 8 other segments, so the field got 10 to Rollins 8. And yes, this should be the most important group on all of Monday Night Raw, but I'm not sure why they had to be so involved this week, because Rollins versus Knight is not that important for a Saturday night main event match. Or might it be? I mean, they put so much emphasis on Rollins this week. Could that indicate a Rollins cash-in is coming up this weekend? Well, this is the Goldberg retirement match, so it would really be a low blow to Goldberg if his match ended, or at least ended his final bow at the end, with a cash-in taking place to take that moment away from him. Or does that mean CM Punk, who was not on the show this week, runs in at the end again? Or maybe even the return of the OTC, as it certainly makes sense for Reigns to return to possibly set up a match between the two for SummerSlam. And I think we would all want to see that match. Topic number 3, the SmackDown Tag Team Division. Well, I was worried last week that a 2-hour SmackDown would cause the SmackDown Tag Team Division to lose all of its steam, but if this week was any indication, I've got nothing to worry about here, because not only did we have 2 matches between all of the actual men's tag division teams, the other 2 matches on the show were also tag team matches. So I guess if SmackDown is going to want to just keep being the tag team division show, I guess that bodes well for the Street Profits and at least the Wyatt Six for a little bit, because in addition we also had Charlotte and Alexa forming a team to be new #1 contenders in the women's tag division, as well as Jacob Fatu and Jimmy Uso teaming up to beat that new MFT team of Solo Sikoa and the rest of whoever those guys are. So I guess it remains to be seen how this is going to go from here, but 1 week, pretty good. Alright, next we've got the women's Intercontinental title, and this was cinema. All three of these women are playing off each other perfectly, with each having their own points about the other two that actually make sense and work in harmony. And the result is, well, we're going to get an absolutely great match that everyone wants to see at Evolution. I love absolutely everything about this. My particular favorite was Lyra telling Bayley that Becky's a total raving lunatic, which I did think was a little bit funny since she's a raven, in her head at least. Now, I know those aren't exactly the same thing, but I thought it was close enough to be quite interesting. And Lyra is definitely showing that anger she said she gained from this feud just a couple weeks ago. And she got 2 Nightwings to put them both down for good. Now this match, I don't think it's going to go as well for Lyra, but no matter what, she has absolutely benefited the most from all of it. So topic number 5, what are we doing here, guys? That's pretty much the conclusion that I came to, because that women's IC feud is about the only thing good that we can say to the build to these 2 shows this weekend. It will be criminal when those 3 don't main event Evolution, because Rhea and Io merely got a vignette this week after one very civil interaction. Trish Stratus, we do love seeing come back, but they just brought her in this week and she has zero animosity with Tiffany Stratton. Jade, of course, just repeated what she had just said to Trish backstage again, only to be hit by the briefcase, so that was all it took to set up another match against Naomi, which I'm sure will be great, but still, man. And then after that, the Battle Royal, just mere mentions of it out of Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer vignettes. This is not going well, and I'm sure Saturday night's main event won't be any better since we don't have much going on there. Goldberg had to take 2 weeks off before finally showing up again here briefly, and as we mentioned, McIntyre just came back this week, so not much going on. Alright, let's go to our winner of the week, and that is Alexa Bliss. After weeks of effort and awkward interactions with Charlotte Flair, well, it finally all paid off for Alexa, because she got herself in that tag team #1 contenders match, and of course went on to win it with a double twisted bliss on the Secret Harvest. So sure, Charlotte mocked her a little bit by a couple pats on the head, but that was certainly worth it for her, since she did get an actual heartfelt, seemingly, hug at the end. So will this newly minted Dream Team go on to big things, or will one or both of them have ulterior motives going forward? And I think we're going to very quickly see that one way or the other, because we've got to get to something interesting at SummerSlam. So win or lose, we'll all be watching very intently. But for today, great job to Alexa, because you snagged yourself a queen. But on the opposite side, let's go to the loser of the week. That has to be Sami Zayn. He definitely didn't manage himself very well at all, taking another lead pipe to the ribs for the 2nd straight week, and then getting speared in 3 different and admittedly totally awesome ways to be written off of TV indefinitely. And what's worse, the crowd was cheering for Karrion Kross to inflict that damage on Zayn. So it looks like the steam is finally out of this version of Zayn, and he's going to need to take some time off and come back with a brand new tude if he perhaps wants to go after that title that he keeps talking about, which I admit he probably should have done a long time ago. Alright, and with that, let's go to our stats of the week, and that will be El Grande Americano, and he is perhaps the greatest luchador of all time, because he remains undefeated in one-on-one matches at 3-0 after beating Dragon Lee this week. And with perhaps some help from a loaded mask, he may not lose anytime in the near future, and he indeed is 5-1 overall in all matches, with his only loss in the MITB ladder match. But that couldn't possibly be Chad Gable under that match after seeing Americano and Gable at the same time on Americano's first appearance on Raw, and then also with Gable clearly being out with an injury. Plus, Gable can't win anything with his luchador problem, as he is 0-3 in one-on-one matches in 2025 and 0-7 in all matches. Now, certain people seem to think that Ludwig Kaiser has replaced Gable behind that mask, but while he does look a little taller, Kaiser went 1-10 in all one-on-one matches since last July and is 2-15 in all matches, so neither of those guys stack up to the pure excellence of El Grande Americano, so maybe Americano is just El Grande Americano. Well, it looks like I did not stop the 10 count this week in time, so I guess I'll have to take an L here this week, but that's pretty much just like WWE is doing, as they're simply throwing everything at the wall and hoping that something sticks at all these random premiere events. But that sounds just like I tried to do this past week when I was throwing everything at the wall when a 20-sided die told me what to talk about in last week's WWE randomizer video, so if you missed that, be sure to check that out right on over here. But until next time, I am the SportsZu, and this has been Stop the 10 Count.